At G Casino Manchester. I'd just like to introduce the top table for the Battle of Manchester. On my right we've got Kieran Farrell. Obviously on the left we've got Anthony Crolla. And joining us today as well we've got Derry Matthews, who's also on the undercard. Firstly, I'd like to say that this fight is what British boxing is all about. You've got two kids in here that are willing to take a challenge that they don't need to take right now. Obviously Anthony has been there, done that, British champion, a household name in British homes, a fan favourite, you know, and obviously Kieran as well is unbeaten in 14 fights. As a young kid, he's not had the big step up yet. Rather than going in intermediate level, he's going straight in at top level. Like I said, neither of them need to take this fight, but you know, the real fighters, the quality fighters, but the real fighters. And this is why I think, you know, my Twitter, Kieran's, Anthony's, everybody's talking about this in the boxing world in Britain. It's a proper fight, it's a genuine fight, and in my opinion, of course, you've got to say Anthony will probably be a slight favourite. You know, Joe will think is a big favourite, but myself and Kieran, we believe that on Friday Kieran's going to arrive in British boxing and he'll pull off what, in our eyes, you know, in my eyes, is a minor upset. But I'll tell you something, one thing since I've mentioned this fight is I've never known anybody as confident and 100% belief as what Kieran Farrell has for this fight. You know, from the minute I spoke with John Breen, so I spoke to John Breen first, his trainer, and I said to him, look, I fancy making the Crolla fight. It's a fight I think I can make. It's a fight that I think that Anthony will just take within a heartbeat. Do you fancy it? And John Breen straight away said yes. You know, he's been sparring with Paul McCloskey quite a lot over the last year or so, and among other people. And John was 100% confident. So obviously we spoke to Kieran, and Kieran just jumped straight down it. So excited. You know, out of all the fights that I've made and I've offered to one of my fighters, I don't think I've had the response that I've had what I did when I spoke with Kieran. It is a big step up for Kieran, and it is a fight that, you know, we're going to find out what Kieran Farrell's all about, but also going to find out what Anthony Crolla's about, because Kieran will bring it. On the undercard, making his first appearance for Crolla boxing will be Derry Matthews, who myself as a boxing fan, you know, I've been a fan of Derry's for years. I kind of liken him to a Ryan Rhodes in the respect that, you know, he achieved a lot and then had some bad times and comes back and people write him off and he keeps coming back, and he's one of those sort of fighters. I signed Derry for Haymaker a few years ago, and that's when we, you know, really got to know each other, and it's, you know, I'm delighted to say that he's going to be boxing on Crolla boxing. We've got big plans for Derry. This fight on here, he'll be boxing an 8-rounder. It's a case of getting him back out there before Christmas after his last few fights. We need next year to be a big year for him, and obviously, you know, there's two guys on either side of me here that Derry looks to jump in the ring with. So, you know, that's a possibility down the line. I'm going to pass it over firstly to Anthony and his trainer Joe Galley, if you want to say a few words.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I thank Dave for putting this show together, and it's a great fight. Kieran's a young lad who comes, and I respect anyone who lives the game like he does. In the build-up, a bit's been said, but I mean, that's all talk. On Friday night, that'll be all over, and the talking will be done in the ring. Like I say, it's very rare you hear a boxer say that they've had a bad camp or they don't feel fantastic before it, but that's the truth for me. I genuinely feel back to my best now, and on Friday night I plan on showing that. And I just said Derry's on the undercard, and people have said to me, and I'm sure people have said to Derry, you know, he's both come through Friday night, and that's a fight that everyone wants to see. But like I say, I've got a tough enough fight on Friday night, so I'm not looking past Kieran Farrell. I really respect, like I say, somebody who trains and prepared as hard as him, but it's a fight now. I believe I'm better than Kieran Farrell, and I'll prove that on Friday night. And not just that, with it puts me back in the frame for a British title, and there's a lot riding on this for me Friday night.
really looking forward to the fight Friday night. I think Anthony's got to put a great performance in. I'm glad to see Kieran turned up today. In an interview previous, where I was accused of saying it was a bottle job, I only said what everybody in the sport thought and still think, and he needs to get a tougher skin if he needs to survive and move on in the sporting game. Everybody. 5 days later he's fighting on your show, Dave, so everybody in boxing. So that's it. It's good to see Kieran's turned up, and it's good to be called Battle of Manchester. It's got to be a good fight on the night, and listen, we'll be looking to fight Derry Matthews in the new year, and hopefully that'll be a great fight again. It was up for one of the fights of the year this year, and I'm sure it'll be a huge fight in 2013. Kieran's done loads of work over in Ireland. He's got a good class team behind him, John Breen, fantastic trainer. I'm sure he's had a good camp. I don't want to hear no excuses Friday night around 11 o'clock. Listen, Anthony Crolla, he's got to be two-time English champion in 2 different weight divisions, and Kieran's going to find out on the night. It's alright fighting journeyman. The only decent kid he's fought was Joel Feeding. He got wobbled twice, once in the first and once in the second, and there's a huge gulf in class, and he'll find that out Friday night. And for all Crolla supporters that are coming out there, we're going to have a real good night again. Thank you.
Before I pass it on to Derek, can I just come back to you on the bottle job? Do you realise how silly that sounds, that your bottle prize fighter to go in with Anthony Crolla?
No. Dave, it isn't a case of bottling it. Everyone within the sport, when it came to prize fighter, he pulled out and then he fought 6 days later. I only said what everyone thought, and for Kieran to come out for whatever reasons he has come out and said, that's down to him. But listen, no one was aware of them situations, and he's brought them to light, but I only said what everybody thought, and still do.
So I just want to say thanks to Dave, for letting me be a part of Crolla Boxing, the rest of the team behind it all, and a credit to the 2 lads. I mean, in my eyes, they should be fighting for a British title on Friday night to defend the English. I think they're both better than the English title, but credit to both of them for taking it, and then maybe I get the winning and I'll fight the winner. But I've got plans with Dave as well. Just talking about putting big shows on in Liverpool, but I'm happy coming to Manchester. I enjoy coming to Manchester. I've had 2 good wins for 2 good titles. Hopefully these will have a good fight on Friday and I'll get the winner, and then we'll make it 3 good wins in Manchester. It's enough.
Thanks for everyone for coming today. I'd like to thank the casino for having us here and that. And well, with regards to what Joe Gallagher says, I've got no animosity at all with Anthony Crolla. He's a top fighter, and I'm glad that he's bringing his best, and he's telling everyone that he's bringing his best, because when I beat him on Friday, I'll be happy to say that I can shake his hand after it and say, look, I beat the best Anthony Crolla. He's in his physical prime. He's 26 years old. I'm 22 years old. I haven't fought anybody. So why have the bookies got me short rods now and stuff like that? I shouldn't be. I should be a 4-1 outsider, but I'm not. I'm even money, and I'm not. I shouldn't be. But like I say, with regards to what Joe Gallagher said, I think I'll speak on half of Britain now. Excuse my French, but no bad.
Tell me something I don't already know. Tell me something I already know. Everyone knows you're the most ugliest man in British boxing, so get a grip.
I'm a boxer, what's your excuse?
It's lucky you are a boxer for that excuse.
Alright, before we break down into chaos, we'll agree to disagree on that. I'll pass it on to the floor for any of you guys that want to ask questions.
Started the year as British champion and ended it fighting the English title. Did you put 2012 into perspective for us, as you were aware it's how's it going for you?
Yeah, listen, I'm telling you, if I didn't say I've had a bad year, I'd be lying. But like I say now, I can get right back on track with this win, and I look forward to a big 2013. It doesn't bother me fighting for the English title now, because like I say, Debbie just said it then, I believe this fight could be bigger for a bigger title, but this puts me on now, get this one on Friday, and then this puts me on the road to getting that British title back, what I want.
The British title's been announced Murphy and Geffen. First of all, what do you think of that fight? And secondly, do you fancy either of those?
Well, fancy him definitely, because that British title, you know, pride and joy, and I want one outright. That's what I want out of boxing. I've said that. It's a lovely title that comes with a lot of history. As for the fight itself, for Murphy and Geffen, I think it's an absolute, you know, it's got tear up written all over it, an absolute war. And as a fan of boxing, I look forward to that fight. I won't just have a keen eye on the winner, but it's, I think you could put that in a phone box, couldn't you? It's got tear up written all over it, definitely.
Question for Kieran. Given 12 months ago you were boxing 4 and 6 rounders, do you have to pinch yourself that you got this sort of massive step up in class all of a sudden?
Well, no, because when I joined Dave Caldwell, he said that he was willing to roll the dice, and I said I want to roll the dice with you, you know, and he got me a warm-up fight on a Carl Frotch undercard, paid that out of his own pocket, you know, he didn't have to do that. He got me Joe Elford, who was unbeaten, no one wanted to fight him at the time, he just beat England star Joe Hughes, and Joe Hughes was on the England team with me when I was 8 stone and he was 10 stone, so, you know, I knew how good Joe Hughes was, and for Joe Elford to beat him, you know, I was in with someone dangerous, and, you know, he was a big lad. He come out swinging, I took what he had, and I gave him back my own, and I knocked him out in the 5th, but like, to answer your question, to be fair, it's 15 years it's coming, you know, I've been 7 years old, I've been dreaming about this since I was 7, watching Prince Naseem and watching Mike Tyson do their things, and then Ricky Hatton when he come on the scene, so you know what, I'm ready for it, you know, I'm sat here now, first time I've been sat at a press conference, but you know, I love it, you know what I mean, so.
Do you feel there's any added pressure on this fight? Obviously you got like 1 or 2 this year, and like Kieran's a young, undefeated prospect.
Yeah, you could say I've got a lot more to lose than Kieran, so yeah, there is a bit of added pressure, but that's the kind of pressure that's drove me on in training and what I believe will bring the best out of me on Friday night. It's like I say in boxing now, the days where keeping your role, it's gone. You're only 1 or 2 big wins away from a big title fight, so on that sense, and this kind of fight puts me in that direction.
Just got a question to Dave. This is going to be the first fight on the new app that you've launched, Caldwell Television. The fact that you've got for it, do you think like putting that on at the bigger stage as well?
Yeah, I think people have been saying for quite a while that, you know, Caldwell Boxing deserves to get some sort of television deal. With the fights that we're putting on, you go back through the last year, we've put on some really good cracking shows. I mean, Curtis Woodhouse, Dale Miles, you know, that was one. But we've been doing it all the way through. Television aren't coming to us. You know, Sky have got their agenda of what they want to do and what sort of fights they want. I think they just want the bigger arena shows. But boxing's not just about big arenas. I mean, these guys will tell you that everybody that's on this table has boxed in leisure centres, has boxed in venues where there's 1,500, 2,000 in there. And the atmosphere that you get, I mean, I was at the show when Derry and Anthony fought. You can't beat that atmosphere, you know? You cannot beat that atmosphere. So boxing's not just about your big arenas and your 20,000 seat, 10,000 seat arenas where the undercard there's hardly any atmosphere because everybody's in the bars, you know? Boxing's about this sort of thing. It's about guys like these that are putting themselves on the line to put on real fights for the fans, and they're hearing the fans buzzing and shouting and chanting. They're stepping up their game because of that, you know? The way that I see it is on Sky Sports, whatever it is that you're watching, you have Champions League football, you have Premier Division football, but you also have Football League, Championship, you know, you have all the lower levels, right? And you've got to have these sort of things where the public get to see guys coming through. Guys like Kieran Farrell, you know? Anthony started off on undercards, on smaller shows, you know, so did Derek. You've got to be able to see him and follow him, attached to him, and then they get built up into a big star that ends up hopefully one day, you know, filling out your MENs and your big arenas, you know, and because nothing was forthcoming for us, you know, we've had meetings, we had a meeting with Channel 5, Channel 5 might still come in, I don't know, but you know, it's not dead, but we had a meeting with Channel 5, 1 or 2 others, nothing seems though it's coming, so myself, Spencer Fern, my business partner, we're not going to sit back and just think, well, moan and bitch about it, you know, we've gone out there and done something about it, and teaming up with Rock Global, which is a massive media and technology company, we've formed Coldwell Television. It's not a case of where we've gone to them cap in hand and trying to do something. We've set up the company ourselves, and it's our baby. So it's not just about Coldwell boxing shows, It's about other promoters that haven't got television deals. If they want to get exposure, with exposure you're going to get a bit more sponsorship money. You might make some money back on that as a promoter. But also, more importantly, your fighters, your prospects, your kids coming through, your top-up bills on these non-TV shows, they're going to get exposure. For our app, the quality of it is fantastic. The quality of our app is fantastic. I mean, it's just quite simple to download from the App Store. From today, it'll be alright. It'll be available on Android. If you want to watch it online, you can watch this fight on your PC, on your laptop. If you go to coldwellboxing.com, click on the link, and it's all simple from there. But we're going to have a video on demand service, which is already up there now, where the show that we did as a test run last Friday, the Next Generation show, which was a little show for our prospects from Yorkshire, that's now up there. We did it as a test run, so the commentators and production can get used to it, ready for our live launch, which is Farrell and Crolla. So you can go on there and see the quality of the picture. It's like watching on television. It's really, really good. The commentary.
Have you been buzzed this week or so?
Massively, and the commentary that we've got is we've got people like Jamie Moore, Ryan Rhodes, and I've given Curtis Woodhouse a job on there because he's a great. I mean, everybody knows his football background. He's a great speaker, and he's a student of the game as well. So I've got him a job on there as well. We've got Sophia Di Stefano, who's worked with Sky and FrankWarrington.tv in the past. So we've got experienced people that the boxing public are familiar with. So hopefully it lends to credibility to us, and we'll strive on to put on some good shows. But obviously, we're not Sky, we're not Channel 5, we're not Box Nation. We're Coldwell TV. We're starting out. And we'll pick the fights, and obviously we've got production and stuff to fork out for. So I'm not just going to put any crap where you just on fire against journeyman all the way through where there's no intriguing fights. It's got to be something that's going to be entertaining to watch.
How come you thought to run it at just £1.50 a show?
It's about appealing to masses. I think I'm a boxing fan. But I'm in touch with all the boxing fans and boxing people on my Twitter all the time, and people are always complaining there's not much money around, but yet you're paying a subscription for Sky, you're paying a tenner a month for Box Nation, so you can't go any higher really. If you want to attract people, I mean, obviously we've got production to pay for and stuff like that, and if people want their exposure on the show, they've got to be a bit sensible and not say, if we're not getting paid this much, we're not doing it. But the way that I see it is by keeping it at £1.49, more people are going to download it and more people are going to watch it. What is it? I think it's a Coke in a pub, isn't it? About £1.50. So if you want to watch a fight, a show, it's for the whole show. £1.50 for a whole show. If it's not a great show and you don't enjoy it, you've wasted £1.50. You've not done £14.95, and you've not done a tenner. So I'm hoping that word gets out there. We're going to do quite an aggressive marketing campaign, not just in the UK but also in Europe and elsewhere. And hopefully we get enough people getting interested and getting on board, and we can start getting exposure for these guys. And they're going to get the whole lot. Old undercard gets interviewed after the fights, and it gets them a little bit of experience for when they do progress onto big title fights, so people can speak, can relate to them. So I think it's a great thing. And out of everybody that's tweeted me, and I've had hundreds and hundreds of tweets, out of everybody that's tweeted me, out of everything that's been seen and that's been said, I've had one negative comment where somebody moaned saying, you're marginalising sport. What I don't understand is, you can't say that I'm marginalising the sport even more if these guys wouldn't have been seen on Friday, right? So they're not going to be seen apart from the guys that's in the arena, right? So if I'm giving somebody an option to pay £1.49 to watch these, then more people are going to see it than would have seen it. I'm not taking it away from anybody. Television weren't in for this fight, so I'm promoting the sport. And that's the only one comment that I've had, and I didn't really understand it at all, to be honest.
getting back to the boxing question for Kieran again. I think that you're ready for the step up against someone like Anthony, who's been, well on the British level. And
yeah, definitely. I know where I'm going, and I'm going to be world champion. So at the end of the day, bring it on. If it's I'm 22 years old, it's about time I stepped up, and I'll admit that. I've been asking for the big fight since day one. I was a flyweight when I started, 8 stone. I was looking at fighting Chris Edwards. I was sparring with him before I had my pro debut, and I beat him up then. So I'm not bothered about anybody. If they told me I was fighting Manny Pacquiao next, I'd say right. If Dave Cole wants to put me in with Manny Pacquiao, I'll stick him in. That's it.
Kieran, do you feel like it's your first big step up fight? Do you feel like you've had a lot more attention on social media? Do you feel like you might have embarrassed yourself?
No, I don't think I embarrassed myself at all. There was a few people called me a baldy rat and stuff like that. I was a bit childish writing back, you're a baldy rat, but at the end of the day, I was sat there and I was bored out my head. Waiting for the gym doors to open, so I called him a baldy rat back. I'm not bothered about that. You know what I mean?
You've been saying about Anthony and about Joe. Like obviously we've got like Derry talks a lot and stuff, but Lisa talks stuff that's come on. You like.
Well, it got a bit jiggy. Anthony admitted that he got a bit jiggy, but when it started putting pictures of my face on and all that, it don't ruffle my feathers up. I'm alright. I love the sport. The more I talk about the sport, the better and the bigger it is, and the more my name gets noticed. So I'm not bothered about that. So leave them to it. If they want to punch pictures of my head on a bag, leave them to it, because I'm not going to lie, my head's going to be there. They're going to punch me head on Friday. I'll take 50 shots and I'll give 100 back. That's what I fight like.
Question, after your 2 losses early in the year, has anything changed in preparation for this fight?
A few little things have been changed, and I feel better for them. Like I say, one of them was Derry. It was in fight of the year. It was a tough fight. I made mistakes and I learnt a lesson, and like I say, last time in Prize Fighter I learnt another lesson. So from now, this year now, I can't afford any more lessons to learn. I've got to start. What's the saying? Once is a mistake, twice you don't let it happen again, do you? So I believe this year's been a learning year for me. People forget I've just turned 26, but I'm still learning this game. You're always learning in this game. So I've learned a very lot this year, and it's up to me on Friday night to have put out there what I've learned.
Yeah. It's been making more of a target now because the future battle against Eddie and obviously in Prize Fight, it's been some of these prospects are targeting you more. Possibly,
yeah, possibly. You look at that now, and I'm seen as, well, I don't know. We've said early on, me and Dave, there's an interview went out and that was the wording, but Kieran's confident and about getting us at the right time and stuff, but that's like Dave's just been saying about these even matches. If you can't put someone in who's 14-0 with a lad who's a former British champion coming off defeat, what's the sport coming to? So I do believe maybe my name's been called out a little bit more, but that's all good for me because I want to be active, and that's one thing I appreciate with Dave. He's put me on in December here in a good fight, because otherwise I don't know when I would have been on. At the minute, like I say, promoters trying to put on dates and stuff like that. This year I've only boxed in April and I boxed in October. That's not active enough, and I believe I'll be best when I'm boxing active. It's not been too long since Prize Fighter, so I believe this will help me on Friday night.
Everyone keeps beating on about being a bad year for Anthony Crolla 2012. Listen, he was in one of the fights of the year with Derry Matthews. Everyone talks about, we should have smashed Derry Matthews. Derry Matthews is a class fighter. He was beating Gavin Rees at the time of the stoppage. I was sat there ringside with his promoters, the Vaughans, and I thought Derry was winning the fight. He put a great performance up and he was very unlucky in that contest. Derry Matthews is a quality operator. Gary Sykes is a British champion, former British champion, a quality fighter. Anthony Crolla and going out there and losing to bums. The quality fighters, and what Anthony Crolla's involved in is in good fights against good people, and that, I've said it in an interview before. In America, if you were to lose 1 or 2, you come back again as long as you can fight, and Anthony Crolla can fight. Everyone makes a big thing that he's had a bad year. Listen, he's been in the fight of the year. Listen, someone's got to lose and someone's got to win. Gary Sykes a prize fight, that's a lottery. Everyone knows the state of boxing at the moment with the TV and everything else, hence why Dave's done this app. And if you're not on TV or if you haven't got a belt, you're not in business in boxing, and this is an opportunity to have a belt. And when we get a belt, you're back in business because you've got to defend the belt and you're in work. If you haven't got a belt in boxing, there's no work for you. And this is an opportunity, and we're grateful for Dave and his partners in Crolla Boxing for giving Crolla an opportunity to get back into that title mix. And obviously Derry will be boxing on the night, but there's just too much. I'm sick of hearing about Anthony having a bad year. He's had a great camp over in LA. Like I say, he had a fantastic fight with Derry Matthews. He showed his class against Gavin Rees. And then, like I say, Gary Sykes is a former British champion, and when we were in the FA Cup, as I call it, prize fighter. So there's too much harbouring, and come Friday night, everyone will realise Anthony Crolla's got his swagger back. And listen, and we've got to run Kieran Farrell out of the sport. Do you know what I mean? And his bad mouth.
Just slightly touching on what Anthony was saying. You know, you got a kid at 14, or you got a kid that's coming off for a couple of bad results. But this is what boxing's all about. If Anthony had a one prize fighter, had a beaten Derry, you know, there's no way that I could have made the call to make a fight between Kieran Farrell and Anthony Crolla, because he'd be going on to bigger things. But in boxing, snakes and ladders. You can be up there, you have a wrong result, you drop back down a couple of levels, right? Now, that's what's happened in this case. Anthony's had to drop back down a level, Kieran's stepping up a level and meeting halfway, you know, and this is why the fight's been made. Too many people go on about defeats and fighters getting beat on, that's the end of his career and this. You know, there's a fellow called Arturo Gatti out in America a few years back, went on, lost I think 3 fights on the bounce. He was still getting paid $1 million off for HBO because he's an entertaining fighter, because he's a fighter that goes out there and puts it on the line, and the fans go mad and can't wait to see him box again. Boxing's a lot more than just results, and I think the sooner that fans and people in boxing get away from the fact that you've got to have an unbeaten record or he's got beat, he's crapping, you know, as soon as people get away from that, then I think more great fights are going to be made, because fighters aren't going to be scared to put on an unbeaten record on the line. You know, like I said, Kieran's old school. You know, he might be rough around edges in how he speaks, and he might offend a few people, but he certainly isn't one of these kids that wants to be run out of the sport, because he puts everything into the sport. He works very hard. He works just as hard as any of your fighters work. You know, and I've got a lot of respect for him. So since I've signed him up, you know, I've got to know the kid. He is boxing. Right? He might not be the most articulate kid out there, he might not be the most confident kid, because he's not had experience in speaking to people. He might tweet out the wrong thing out to people, but so do people at the top. You know? A lot of people at the top tweet out things that they shouldn't tweet. You know, he's just a young kid. But bottom line is, he doesn't want to be run out of boxing, because I'll tell you what, there's not many kids out there that are as dedicated in boxing as what he is. And I'm not suggesting Anthony's not dedicated, because I know for a fact he is, right? This is about a kid here that, you know, it's 14-0, and he's stepping up. You know, he's taking a massive, massive step up in the eyes of everybody in boxing, going in against a really good champion like Anthony. You know, and for somebody to say that he needs running out of the sport, I think that's, you know, a little bit over the top. For me, the sport needs more people that are willing to roll the dice like Kieran Farrell, if it's to survive, if it's to grow. You know, and the sport needs more kids that are willing to live the life. And 10 minutes after the fought, they're putting on 20 stone because they're straight down for kebab and chips and pints of lager. You know, a lot of fighters need to be training in the gyms, just ticking over when they ain't got a fight coming up, because the amount of times now that, not just myself, but other promoters are ringing around, oh, we've had a pull-out. You speak to kids, you speak to kids' managers, oh, they're not in gym, oh, they're not in gym, oh, they're overweight, and they're missing out on opportunities. You know, Kieran's a kid that I could ring up and say, listen, an opportunity is coming in a week's time, do you want to take it? Yeah. So I do think more kids need to be like that in the game, not less. Anything else? Are you a reporter? Anybody else want to ask any sensible questions?
Derek, your first fight of the year, or first fight in a while, that's only an 8-rounder, there's no title at stake. Any trouble getting motivated, or?
No, the motivation's been there all along. I mean, I'm still hungry for the game. When I went to meet Dave, he said to me, how much I'm hungry, but when I'm hungry, I wouldn't be doing the sport. I mean, I got offered to fight last week, to fight Steve Williams for the English title, or the British Masters title, but you know, for big money. But I've got plans with Dave. We sat down, we went up to Dave's office in Sheffield, and we talked, and you know, got a big year ahead. It's the only fight of the year where there isn't a big prize at the end of it, but you know, it's big pride. I've got a lot of fans coming, I've got a lot of people looking out to beat me, you know what I mean, in the future. And you know, obviously we said before, we haven't got, I've boxed a European title, I've boxed a British title, a former English champion, former British champion, and you know, I went in prize fights, I never succeeded, but this 8 rounds, and this is another step for me. You know, it's the first step on the ladder with Crolla boxing, and hopefully, long may it continue. And as I said before, I can get 2013. I've set myself a plan. I want to be Commonwealth and British champion within 6 months. And if I don't do that, I'll be very disappointed, because Ben Murphy and Getting, I don't even think they should be fighting for the British title. I think it should have been me or Anthony right away to fight one of them. I don't know, I think they're number 8 and number 10 in Britain. So, I mean, obviously Anthony's fighting Kieran, but I think me and him should have got the call to fight Getting rather than Ben Murphy. I don't think Ben Murphy's last fight, I think, was at light welter, and he got beat to tear pain for the British title. So I don't know, he's got a shot for the lightweight title, and I'm disappointed with it. I spoke to Dave at the Blocks and Boards Awards, and then we said, you know, maybe we can get the winner out of that, hopefully.
How much more do you think you've got to give boxing? Obviously you've been a pro for like 10 years now.
I feel like an old man, but I'm just turned 29, but you know, I've been a pro 10 years. I've won 6 titles. I've had a good career, but you know, I wanted to continue. I've had 40 fights, and you know, there's still some tricks left in the old dog, and you know, I just want to, still hungry. I want big fights, and that's why I've teamed up with Dave. And you know, I want fights where I excite the fans. To me, it's not all about winning belts as well. It's about, like, you know, me and Anthony put a box tomorrow for no title. I think anyone in Britain would be delighted because of the previous fight we've had. So, you know, and that's what Dave can put on. He can put big fights on for me. You know, if I get the titles, I get the titles. But if not, you know, as long as I'm in a good fight and my fans are happy and my family are happy, I'm happy.
Anything else? Thanks a lot. Cheers. Thank you.